I've been watching The Crappy Childhood Fairy. For those of you who haven't heard of her, she does some really, really good work out there. She helps people who find therapy doesn't work for them, right? Because they've got CPTSD. They've got trauma from their childhood, and it's led to problems as adults. And she gets a lot of grief from people, particularly therapists. Excuse me, some hair. I have got hair. Now, the thing is, she's been talking about how when she does her YouTube videos, she does all her makeup, she does her hair, and she doesn't want to have to do that. She doesn't want to have to put the lights on, and it's hard having to do these things. And then, because she doesn't want to do it, she procrastinates. And I have found myself guilty of doing that about this YouTube video. Now, normally, I love YouTubing. I've been YouTubing for a few years, and I've been talking about my journey as I've gone on, and shared things with YouTube. And then I felt I had to delete that channel, so the whole channel went. So there was all sorts of channels. Great. I really loved that YouTube channel. I felt like there was blurring of the lines, because it's so hard when you're a therapist not to give your information out, because in case it affects your clients that are hearing things about you and reading things about you, right? You're not supposed to do that. The idea being is that I'm going to read my book to this channel, right? And I'm going to try and create some little videos that make it interesting for you to watch and listen to the stories that I've put in my hands. But I'm also torn with the idea of talking about therapy things, because the Crappy Childhood Fairy, she's not a trained therapist, and yet she's got like 600,000 being helped with the information that she's bringing forward about things that she's done that's helped her, right? And what has worked for her and what hasn't. And I'm sort of torn between on the synchronicities and coincidences that happen, that I really love, absolutely love, and I find they're a way of getting through life. For a lot of people, if you haven't got meaning in your life, right, there isn't anything that's coming your way and you're feeling very down, it can be really uplifting to have a coincidence happen, right, for you, because it has meaning for you. Synchronicity helps you to keep going, helps to remind you that there's more going on in life than we can be aware of. I'm torn between talking about that and also talking about the therapy side of my life, where I'm working as a therapist, helping other people, and I'm having to balance that. What am I allowed to share about my stuff, and how is that helping people? Because the therapy community think that you shouldn't share stuff about yourself. It's all very separate from therapeutic work. Yeah. The Crappy Childhood Fairy has just blown that idea out of the water by saying to people, well, I've got CPTSD and this is what I've done to help myself, and now she's using that to help other people, which I find that amazing. And then she gets grief from therapists telling her that she shouldn't be doing it, because where's her credentials and she's not licensed. Well, it's absolutely not. You've got an alcoholics, I mean the whole basis of AA was that one alcoholic was able to turn around and help someone behind him, right, or her. And that's how people get helped, by seeing another person who's already trodden that path. They've already walked that path and they've come out the other side, and that helps, knowing that that other person has been through that experience, right? So I think this is probably how we help each other more, is by sharing what's worked for us. And this is part of that for me. Coincidence has worked for me. Knowing the synchronicities always show up, it feels like a helping hand from the universe, and that's how I felt about it. So I'll see how it goes, see what I share with you, dear lover YouTube, and thanks for watching, and I might just put this bit in the corner. And I'm sure that chatting about this and talking about what I'm going to do with this video is probably not the thing to do. There's another thing that's put me off, listening to the Crappy Childhood Fairy say what it is that she does to do her videos, because she's learnt to, do her hair and do her makeup and do the lighting, and I don't do all those things, and it feels a bit conformist for me personally to have these things. And I think if we've all got to do the same thing all channels end up looking the same. I don't want to look the same. And then I have that something in me that says, no, I want to be me. I don't want to have to be me going along with somebody else's rules, but I know that those pre-existing rules are what make people watch YouTube videos, right? Knowing that the person's professional in front of them, knowing that they've had their hair done, and knowing that they're going to be succinct and to the point, right? But still, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Do you know what I did? I got 3 books through the post today. I got, which was the Kybalion. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. Could be the Kybalion. The 7 Hermetic Principles. This was recommended by White Feather Tarot, so naturally I'll go and buy it. White Feather Tarot. If you haven't heard of White Feather Tarot and you like tarot readings, then pop along to her channel, give her a little follow. I promise you it's so interesting how she comes up with the information. This book says, the lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. And then someone else recommended a book, somebody on my supervision course, because I'm training a therapist supervisor in the final week this week, so that's another sort of a tick in my box of progress. You know how we do all have goals, don't we? And then we work our way through them. The next goal is to be a supervisor. Somebody recommended this book, Wells in the Desert, The Use of Metaphor. I will put a little link in the description, of course. The Use of Metaphors in Therapy by Dr. Jonathan Lloyd. Now, I stupidly thought it was going to be literally a list of metaphors that you could use. No, of course not. It's chatting about therapy and ways people have used metaphors in therapy. Synchronicity, for instance. I love my book, actually, I do. Probably shouldn't say that, should I? Because you're not supposed to love the stuff that you create, are you? Not really. And I would be humble about it, but I'm pleased with it. I'm actually pleased with it. Of course it could be better. Of course it could be better written, probably. Although it has been run through Grammarly, is that I'm sharing the stories with you as a way for you to be able to see how I get through my life. And this is helps me get through my life on a daily basis, right? Hi YouTube, it's the 28th of June today, and I'm sorry about this. I've had a break in my filming because I don't know why. Something went wrong with the camera on my laptop, my little computer here, and it just stopped. I was just about to tell you a coincidence story that's not in my book. Okay, I'm going to leave a little link below so you can see this book on Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can have it on Amazon Kindle or Kindle Unlimited. You get it free on there, right? Not free, because obviously you pay for it somewhere. Anyway, I was having an idea about when, oh that's right, I was talking, here's what, you're going to laugh with me YouTube. I was talking about what helps other people and the crappy childhood fairy, and how she helps other people by explaining her life experiences and what's happened for her. And it just reminded me of a coincidence / synchronicity that happened around my name. And our names are a very important part of synchronicity. It's massive, isn't it? It's our identity, it's who we are. When we meet someone else who's got the same name as us, it's really, I don't know, how does it feel for you? If you meet someone who's got the same name as you, does it have any meaning for you? How does it feel? I've never met anyone called Tamasin, right? So I don't know what it feels like to meet a Tamasin. However, I was having an experience where I didn't have a lot of money, and when I got money, I mean I was struggling to come up with like an extra 30 quid to buy my son a pair of trainers or whatever, something like that. It was that amount of money that I needed, a very small amount of money. It wasn't like I had loads of money and I was trying to go in for a holiday to Hawaii, right? No, I was on the area of life where you can only really think about how you're going to be getting through the next week, 10 days, you know. So when you think about it now, how much time could you get through with your life? The majority of people, and I was surprised to learn this, get through 2 months. Say they've got 2 months money in the bank, so if anything happened to their income right today, they'd have enough money to get them through 2 months. Yeah, that's the majority of people. And some people are fortunate enough that they've got years ahead of them to not have to worry about their finances. And I find there's a lot of people who are forward thinking. If you can plan ahead, chances are you're going to be more likely to have that level of financial security. Okay? But people, this is a common thing, people have had childhood trauma or dysfunction in their childhood, or they've suffered from CPTSD. This business about money is an issue because you have all these sorts of beliefs running around in your mind, like, well, people like me don't have money, no one's ever going to pay me this amount of money to do X, Y and Z, right? So you have all these things that hold you back, and then you manage to find yourself in a position where you haven't got an income, you haven't got money coming in, and you have to, this is what happened to me, I had to figure a way out to make money. Now this isn't the idea of like telling you a sob story, but this is just the reality of what happened, okay? This particular year, so my son was a teenager, and I was studying. I remember I was working, always been working, but at low paid jobs. So the roles that I was doing weren't valued financially. They were just jobs, you know, like muck jobs. I was working in a co-op, which was doing people's shopping, you know, ringing up their shopping that they'd bought, being not a cashier, being, I can't remember what it's called now, customer service assistant, I think it's called at the time, a checkout operator. Things that people do now with using self-service, like literally anyone can do it. So I had that job that was part-time, but of course it wasn't anywhere near enough for the money that I needed. Was that the job I was doing? I'm just trying to think, because I was trying to remember where I was living and what year it was. It was just before that. It was just before I picked up a job and went back working into retail. And things did pick up when I started working back in retail. They did, admittedly, it was at Avon. But this particular week I was still in Avon. And I've been doing that since I was about 14. When I was 14, I got a job as an Avon lady. My mum signed the forms. She had to be over 18 to do it at the time. Mum signed the forms and I signed the forms, and I did an Avon round and I sold it. And I made some money doing that. 15, I went to work on a checkout. So fast forward into my 30s, and what happens when you haven't got a job? If you're a single parent, this is what happened to me. My fallback position naturally was to go back and apply for roles that I knew I could earn some money, I knew I could do, and that I would be accepted in, and it was easy for me to get those jobs. I didn't think to myself, maybe I could apply for a well-paid job. What can I do to get a better paid job or make more money? That's just not where my mind was thinking. I was thinking, I've got to earn some money. How do I do it? I know I'll go and do some Avon. Because in the back of my mind, I can always make money selling Avon. I can always make money selling things. And I was in Avon to hairdressers. I went into all the businesses and the shops in Southend High Street and I picked up some customers. And I did have a nice little round going. I did manage to make a nice little round for myself before I got a job in a retail in a shop, which was an amount of money, because the Avon, obviously, it's hit and miss. Sometimes people want 30 quid's worth and sometimes they don't want anything. And you're going to earn 10%. So if somebody buys 30 quid's worth of Avon, which is a lot of Avon, you're making 3 quid, right? So you've got to sell a lot of it to make any money, okay? But I would rather go out to work and earn £10 than not go out to work. And that is just where my mindset was at the time. I've got to do this in order to try and bring some money in. So this particular day, I can remember it was really cold, it was miserable, it was raining, it was just horrible weather, and I was walking along and I just refused to give up putting these Avon books in business. And I put a book through in a hairdresser's, and the woman phoned me. I literally got home, sat down, and I was just so fed up I couldn't even be bothered to get out of my website. I just sat myself on the settee, and I don't know if you've ever had that feeling where you just want to sigh and just give up. That's the feeling I had. Literally, I was at the point of giving up and thinking, this is pointless, there's no point in doing this, because I had been met with a lot of rejection. Now, for me, I can take rejection because I've had a lot of practice. It's easy for me to take rejection. So maybe I should do a YouTube video about how to handle rejection. Someone saying no to me is like water off a duck's back. It just doesn't even fit, because I know that I'm not going to be affected by the no's. I'm not bothered about a no. I'm not looking for the no. I'm looking for the yes. So you just focus on the person that does want what you're selling or what you're trying to engage with. You just ignore the ones that aren't interested. But on this particular day, I remember it does Polish, and she was speaking at me in Polish and told me, in certain terms, that she didn't want the Avon, and she literally shooed me away from her shop, her Polish speaking, Polish food, Polish culture shop in Westcliff. And that day it just got to me. I just felt rejected, like it was pointless just doing another shop. It was just pointless. So I walked down to the zebra crossing, went across the zebra crossing and to come back home. And as I was coming back, I looked in this hairdresser's and I thought, oh well, since I'm here, I'll just put another one in. Put an Avon book in, gave it to the lady, said hi, and went home. Get home really fed up still, because it had affected me that day. I felt like it's a waste of time this, why am I bothering? It's all pointless. I'm only going to earn a few quid, what's the point? And I sat down on the sofa. I remember I did take my coat off, but all the backs of my trousers were wet. Just sat down on the sofa. I just couldn't. And you know, like I don't know if you've ever had that feeling. It's like you're just an energyless sponge, like a sponge that's had all the energy squeezed. Do you like that metaphor? Did it come up with a metaphor? That's what I was hoping this was going to be. Like a sponge with the energy sucked out of it, squeezed out of it. The phone rang, my little mobile phone rang, and it was the woman from the hairdressers. And she said, oh, I've got an order for you. Okay, yeah, that's great, I'll come back. So I didn't bother changing out of my trousers. I put my wet coat back on, went back outside, walked down the road. It was a few blocks down the road, I don't know, probably about a mile, I suppose. And picked the order up from her, went in, said hi, had a little chat, picked the order up from her, and she'd ordered £150 worth of Avon. What the hell just happened there? What? I've never ever, so like 30 years of being an Avon lady, no one's ever bought £150 worth of Avon from me. That was just like mind blowing to me. And I got home, I took it from her, obviously, I was like, I didn't spot how big the order was when I was in the shop. I just took the order from her and said, yeah, I'll be back next week. Bye. Thanks. She just bought a lipstick or something. Got home, opened it up and realised it's £150 worth of Avon she'd ordered. I was like, oh. So I got the Avon, and then I realised her name of her hairdressers, and that was her name, was an anagram of my name. And her name was Aminata, with an S on the end. Aminata's, she called her business. And that's the anagram of my name, Tamasin. And then for a little while after that, and she was sending the Avon to Sierra Leone. I'm not even sure how you pronounce that, but I was ordering it and taking it to her, and she was sending it to her relatives, and they were selling it on. So that was interesting. But the coincidence there was in the name, right? And I didn't spot that. Of course I didn't spot that. I was in such a low state. And this is my thing, when you're in that low state, it can be very difficult to connect and to force yourself to keep going, to find the steps that you need to take to be in the right place at the right time to get what you need, the help you need. It can be a very difficult thing. The law of attraction saying, lift yourself up so that you're still smiling and you're in a better feeling place, and then take action, right? That's the idea. But from a place of really, really low, you haven't got any money and you don't know where the food's coming from, that can be a really, really to do, to sort of switch off from that and try and lift yourself up, you know? Anyway, thanks for watching.